The gathering hall of the Galactic Council hummed with anticipation. Delegates from 100 worlds lined the crystalline corridors, their biosignatures glowing softly in the filtered starlight that poured through the dome overhead. They had all come to witness history. Humanity's formal introduction to the Kavari Collective, a species whose cubs were considered the most precious resource in the known galaxy. Envoy Marin Sol stood at the entrance, adjusting the formal sash across her shoulders. She had been briefed extensively on Kavari customs during the 3-month journey to their homeworld. The Kavari were ancient, their civilization spanning 12,000 years of unbroken peace. Their young, called cubs, were raised communally and taught from birth that they represented the future itself. To disrespect a cub was to disrespect time, possibility, and hope. The briefing documents had been clear: bow shallowly to adults, bow moderately to elders, and bow deeply to cubs. The deeper the bow, the greater the respect. It was a civilization built on venerating potential over achievement. Marin had memorized every gesture, every inflection. She understood the weight of this moment. Humanity had been quarantined from the galactic community for centuries, deemed too volatile, too aggressive. This was their chance to prove otherwise. The doors opened with a whisper of displaced air. The Kavari delegation entered first. They moved with fluid grace, their silvered fur catching the light like morning frost. Their eyes, large and luminous, swept across the assembled species with quiet dignity. Behind them came the cubs, and Marin felt her breath catch. There were 7 of them, small and bright-eyed, their fur still downy with youth. They moved with the unself-conscious energy of children everywhere, curious and fearless. The lead cub, barely reaching Marin's waist, had fur the color of autumn leaves. A translator badge on his chest identified him as Tico. The formal procession began. Species after species approached, offered their greetings, and bowed according to protocol. The Zephyrians bent at the waist. The Korliks folded their segmented bodies in elaborate displays. The Nomathi touched their foreheads to the polished floor. Then it was humanity's turn. Marin stepped forward, her boots silent on the crystalline floor. She felt the weight of 1,000 eyes upon her, felt the collective breath of the galaxy held in suspension. She reached the cubs and stopped precisely 3 meters away, the appropriate distance for formal greeting. Tico stepped forward, breaking from his group. His large eyes met hers with unguarded curiosity. He raised one small paw to his chest, the Kavari gesture of peaceful introduction. Marin smiled. It was not part of the protocol, but she couldn't help herself. Then she bowed. She bent at the waist, lowering herself until her spine was parallel to the floor. It was the deepest bow one could offer while still standing. She held the position for the prescribed 3 seconds, feeling her muscles strain, feeling the significance of the gesture ripple through the hall. But as she began to rise, Tico did something unexpected. The cub bowed back. It was a small thing, an imperfect mimicry of her gesture. His back wasn't quite straight, his paws didn't quite balance him properly. But the intent was clear. He was trying to return her respect. The hall fell absolutely silent. Marin froze, half risen. In that crystalline silence, she understood. Tico wasn't following protocol. He was following his heart. He was offering friendship the only way he knew how, in the language she had just taught him. And Marin Sol, envoy of Earth, ambassador to the stars, made a decision that would echo through galactic history. She bowed again. This time, she went further. She lowered herself to one knee, then both. She placed her palms flat on the floor and touched her forehead to the cool crystal, prostrating herself completely before the cub. It was a gesture no Kavari protocol demanded, a position of absolute humility that existed in human tradition, but had never been offered to another species. The silence shattered into gasps and whispers. Several delegates activated their recording devices. The Kavari elders stood frozen, their luminous eyes wide with shock. Marin rose slowly, meeting Tico's gaze once more. The cub's eyes were enormous now, filled with wonder and something that transcended species and language. Understanding. Then Tico did something that no cub in 12,000 years of Kavari history had ever done in a formal ceremony. He ran forward and hugged her. His small arms barely reached around her waist. His downy fur pressed against the formal fabric of her uniform. And in that moment, every carefully constructed protocol, every diplomatic barrier, every wall between species, simply ceased to exist. Marin knelt again, this time not in deference but in connection. She gently returned the embrace, mindful of his small frame. "Hello, Tico," she whispered, knowing her translator would carry the words. "It's an honor to meet you." The other cubs broke ranks then, rushing forward in a tumble of fur and laughter. They surrounded her, chattering in their melodic language, touching her strange, smooth skin, marveling at her different shape. The Kavari adults stood stunned, but Marin could see something shifting in their expressions. Not horror at the breach of protocol, but something softer. Recognition, perhaps, or hope. The eldest Kavari, a female whose silver fur had gone nearly white with age, approached slowly. She stopped beside Marin, watching as the cubs explored this strange new being with uninhibited joy. "You bowed twice," the elder said softly, her translator rendering the words in gentle tones. "Once for protocol, once for him." "Why?" Marin looked up, still surrounded by curious cubs. Tico had climbed onto her knee and was examining her hands with fascination. "Because he deserved it," she said simply. "Not as a symbol of his people's future. As himself. As Tico." The elder's eyes shimmered with something that might have been tears. "In 12,000 years," she said quietly, "no species has understood. They bow to what the cubs represent. You bowed to who they are." She placed a weathered paw on Marin's shoulder. "Welcome to the collective, envoy soul. Welcome to the galaxy." And in the gathering hall, under the light of 1,000 stars, humanity took its first true step into the cosmic community. Not through strength or technology or ancient heritage, but through the simple act of seeing a child and choosing to kneel in recognition of their infinite, irreplaceable worth. Tico looked up at Marin and chirped something in Kavari. The translator badge flickered, then spoke. "Will you visit again? Can we be friends?" Marin smiled, and this time there were tears in her eyes too. "Yes, Tico. We can be friends. Humans are very good at being friends." Behind them, the galaxy watched and learned what humanity had known all along, that the greatest strength lies not in standing tall, but in knowing when to bow, to kneel, and to meet another soul at their level, however small they might be.